buenos días para todos. Soy el mayor general del Cuerpo de Infantería de Marina, Sergio Alfredo Serrano Álvarez.
Commandant of the Colombian Marine Corps and officer at the Navy of the Republic of Colombia. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today with different military leaders of the world, for brief about what the Colombian Marine Corps has been in the past, what it is at present and what it will be in the future. Next please. For this session, I wanted to provide the following agenda, where we will be talking about the creation, decommissioning and reactivation of the Colombia Marine Corps, its growth, the riverine warfare, and counterinsurgency, also the mission, organization and capabilities. And finally the projection and transformation that will become our institution, as an amphibious force. Next. We start with this timeline, with major key points throughout our history. In 1810 the Declaration of Independence. In 1812 the first battles in the conflict that took place on the Pacific coast. The first appearances where the Marine Corps fought in river campaigns across the departments of Nariño and Cauca. Subsequently, the first landing by the Marines in Santa Marta Bay reached in 1813. And in 1815 in the seizure of the city of Cartagena, where the Spanish Pablo Murillo wanted to retake and reconquer these territories in America. Then, between 1816 and 1819, the littorals and the main rivers leading into the country, were occupied by the Patriot Navy, time where the Marine Corps was already operating, and it was known as Naval Infantry. In 1822, the Marine Corps was officially created with the activation of one battalion. Later, under the command of Admiral José Prudencio Padilla, the Marine Corps took part in the naval battle of Maracaibo Lake, in 1823, aboard of the ships of the Patriot Navy. Finally, in 1845, the Navy was suspended and the Marine Corps was closed as well. Next. I would like to provide a context for all the participants, in order to present Colombia's geographic conditions. We are located in the northern zone of South America, with a land area of more than 1,142,000 square kilometers, a maritime area of 928,660 square kilometers, with a coastline of 2,900 kilometers, both on the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. The country shares a border with 11 countries, a border not only on land but also on the sea, with a potential of more than 15,000 kilometers of river network. Navigable rivers where the Marine Corps is currently working. Finally, the country has 9 port areas, both on the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. Next. The growth of our Marine Corps, with this other timeline, dates back approximately to 1930, with the border tensions in the Amazonian conflict with the fellow Republic of Peru, tensions that triggered the war with this country, mainly with the Battle of Gepi in 1932. A jungle scenario where our men made their first appearances, and had their first experiences in the riverine environment. Later, in 1930, the Marine Corps was created, and reactivated again with 2 Marine Infantry battalions, which by 1938 were tasked with the mission of coastal surveillance, and protection of the insular areas around the country. In 1948, a very critical year in the history of Colombia, the Marine Corps was assigned missions to re-establish security in the internal areas of the country. At that time, the Marine Corps appeared not only in the riverine environment, but also in land activities allocated by the Presidency of the Republic. Then, in 1956, the famous Wasp Flotilla was commissioned, a tactical riverine fleet with improved maneuverability and operational performance, that eventually became the basis of the current riverine combat elements. By 1967, the Amphibious Command and Underwater Demolitions Unit was created, with a considerable level of operational experience. Later in the 70s and 80s, amphibious and airborne capabilities were built up by our Marine Corps. Due to the internal conflict in Colombia from 1979, with the guerrillas and the insurgency, the Marine Corps was tasked with the responsibility of being present throughout the length and breadth of our country's river network. And this is how in the 80s and 90s, from 1980 to 2000, counterinsurgency units were founded, counter-guerrilla battalions were created, as well as special forces battalions and urban special forces. Operations against drug trafficking were conducted, and the Marine Infantry brigades were organized. This period with this enemy was a key time for modernization, with the support of the United States. The training, the improvement of our equipment. This is how, between 2000 and 2010, the Marine Corps was strengthened, intensifying its participation in the internal conflict with these battalions and these units. We can remember the brave men who gave their lives in these conflicts, fighting against the insurgency. Next. In this timeline, as you can see, we are talking from 1937 to almost 2018, 50 years of fighting, 50 years in which the Marine Corps was involved in the execution of irregular operations, acquiring responsibility in land jurisdiction. That is why there was a gradual expansion of both men and riverine combat elements.
En el desarrollo de operaciones irregulares adquiriendo responsabilidad en la jurisdicción terrestre.
In 1978 we had approximately 4,000 men and 2 riverine combat elements. As time passed, these men and riverine combat elements increased, and today we have approximately 21,000 men and more than 78 riverine combat elements, with permanent instruction, training and logistics support from the United States. This was because the country has faced a changing situation, where the need for strengthening and advancing in the direction to become a Marine Corps with a deterrence capabilities, able to defend the national sovereignty, independence, and national integrity.
Instrucción, de capacitación, de entrenamiento y apoyo logístico por parte de la Infantería de Marina de los Estados Unidos.
Next. In order to talk about riverine combat elements, I want to show you what a riverine combat element is for us. This is our riverine organization. Here the river combat element is composed of 4 boats, with 1 boat performing command and control functions, and 3 tactical boats for maneuver. As I mentioned earlier, when the Wasp flotilla was created, this has been transformed from aluminium boats with small engines, then a change to 13 and 17-foot fiberglass boats with larger engines, and finally evolution to what we have today, 8-meter-long boats with 175 horsepower engines, 2 engines per boat. Those are also integrated with the support of UAV technology. Next. The mission of the Colombian Marines, as you can see, is to develop naval operations for national defense and security, and the protection of maritime and riverine interests, contributing to the sustainable development of the state. Currently, the Colombian Marines with their 21,000 men are organized with a Marine Infantry Command in the center of the country, and you will see some areas in red. These are the areas where there are more insurgent groups now, groups that generate violence, and if you can see that in these areas the Marine Corps is present. This is how, in the northern area, in the whole of the Caribbean coast, we find the 1st Marine Brigade, which has land jurisdiction. Further on, we find the 2nd Marine Brigade, stationed in Buenaventura City, on the Pacific coast, which has been tasked in the fight against drug trafficking within a complex environment. The 3rd Marine Brigade carries considerable responsibility. More than 5,000 kilometers of navigable rivers in the southern region of the country, along the borders with our partners, Ecuador, Peru and the Federative Republic of Brazil. The 4th Marine Brigade is located in the departments of Cauca and Nariño and along the Pacific coast, fighting without borders against the agents of violence, mainly drug trafficking.
En la lucha contra el narcotráfico en esta zona tan conflictiva de nuestro país.
a 5th Marine Brigade positioned in the eastern part of our country covering a fairly large and extensive river network. We also have a marine training base, Alma Mater, located at Governor's City, in the northern region of the country, where all Colombian Marines are trained. In other words, there is not a single Marine in Colombia who has not passed through this base. All this activity is provided with centralized support, through the Amphibious Operations Support Brigade. This unit is located in Bogotá and provides support and logistics services to each and every one of the previously listed units. And so all these 21,000 men have been working in our 4 roles such as coastal defense where we are at 40%, amphibious infantry at 50%, special forces at 75%, and our riverine operations at 70%. Next. We have been working on a transformation and design process, that is why we have to analyze carefully the complex environment. Colombia, as you know, is a country that faces a series of threats, with multiple elements. The core is no stranger to the present situation. Neither is the force an exclusive actor for defense, we are also accountable for security issues. We have been facing the proliferation of illegal economies, environmental damage, transnational organized crime, action of armed groups, the attacks on social leaders, kidnapping, international terrorism, cyber attacks, in other words, a large number of threats, combined with other kinds of hazards, such as environmental degradation, migration dynamics, which is huge in our country because of its position in the northern part of South America, connecting Central and North America, is an obligatory point for migration. And also pandemic events such as the entire world is currently facing, we are no strangers to the risks and natural disasters. This transformation process is based on the naval pentagon established by the National Navy, developing its activities in accordance with a 5-sided strategy, where the foundation of this pentagon is defense and national security, and no less important, comprehensive maritime and river security, environmental security, international projection and contribution to development. How do this happen? We do it with careful planning, continuous education of our troops, the integration of new technology, permanent innovation, multiple capabilities and adaptation skills. Thus, we strengthen riverine operations, special forces, and amphibious capabilities. Also we build coastal defense capability. Finally, we strengthen the expeditionary logistical capacity, to support the entire force.
No menos importante, la seguridad integral marítima y fluvial, la seguridad ambiental, la proyección internacional y la contribución al desarrollo.
Next. The transformation process begins initially by understanding the strategic and operational concept, building the strategic awareness of environment, in order to identify the challenges we are facing. All that studies are developed through our think tanks. First we identify needs and capabilities, then we develop and build those capabilities. We make a project based on the DOTMUP concept, doctrine, organization, training, material, leadership, education, personnel, equipment, and facilities. Then we plan the programs and the acquisition of the capabilities. Holistic vision is essential throughout the process. All this following the integration of the warfighting functions, as core of the proxies. Logistics, protection, movement and maneuver, fires, intelligence, command and control, as you know. The transformation design according the three scenarios that we are watching, initially on the top left, our completely riverine operations stage, where our maneuvering units are working all the time, integrating new technology as well as sensors, hydrophones, UAVs and a C4ISR centers. In the second scenario, we see amphibious operations launched from out to sea, in projection operations, with all the challenges of complex littoral operations. And the third one, we are looking at the coastal defense concept. In all these scenarios, there are a series of conditions to achieve and take advantage. First one, the strategic approach in defense and security, the interoperability, the introduction of new technologies for the development of these scenarios, the integration of the naval fleet with the landing force, the flexibility and adaptability, the equipment renovation, the optimization of resources, the operational experience we acquired during 50 decades, and to ensure the logistics support across the organization. Next. All these activities are conducted together with the logistics support provided by the Amphibious Operations Support Brigade, a unit that provides logistics to all Marine Corps units, with maintenance, production, training and management capabilities. At this time the support brigade has a number of commitments and is working on construction operations and expeditionary facilities construction in the Caribbean Sea. Currently, the Marine Corps is deployed in the San Andres Archipelago, working on the reconstruction of the island after the disasters suffered by Hurricane Iota. The Amphibious Operations Support Brigade has diverse capabilities, including maintenance, transportation and deployment, disaster response, general logistics services, and combat engineering. Finally, through the Marine Peace Operations Training and Education Center, the force is being prepared for future deployments around the world, supporting peace operations. Thank you for attending the conference and let's start the questions and answer round. For answer the first question we received, what is the projection of the Colombian Marine Corps in the international scenario? The projection of the Colombian Marine Corps is to become as an amphibious force with real deterrence capabilities, multifunctional and flexible, capable of answering security and defense challenges, as well as the humanitarian and environmental requirements, in the country and the region. For this purpose, by employing all the operational experience accumulated during the internal conflict through different capabilities of the maritime and riverine environments, likewise, we are working towards the international scenario, with the training of the military forces personnel at the Peace Operations Training Center, located at the Marine Infantry Training Base, our alma mater.
Con la preparación de personal de las fuerzas militares desde el Centro de Entrenamiento y Capacitación en Operaciones de Paz, ubicado en la base de entrenamiento de Infantería Marina, alma mater de nuestro cuerpo.
We lead the processes of education and training in riverine operations for allied countries in the Caribbean with the support of the USCAP plan, always aiming to increase regional interoperability. On the other hand, new concepts are under development by the Riverine Combat School, which will soon become the International Advanced Amphibious Training Center, allowing us to contribute with our capabilities and experience to multinational operations in complex environments. And finally, we are training and professionalizing all Marines in multinational cooperation exercises, improving their capabilities both in humanitarian assistance and expeditionary logistics.
Por último, preparando y profesionalizando a todos y cada uno de nuestros hombres, desarrollando ejercicios multinacionales de cooperación, adquiriendo mejores capacidades tanto en atención y ayuda como en logística de tipo expedicionario.
The second question that I received, what are the main challenges to overcome in the transformation process as amphibious force?
Para superar en el proceso de transformación en una fuerza completamente anfibia.
I would like to mention that we have been increasing the training, education and the professionalization of each and every one of our men, in order to face the changes caused by the continuous warfare mutation.
Para que afronten los cambios en esta mutuación permanente que hay de la guerra.
We must be at the forefront not only in combat readiness but also in the operational standardization processes that enable us to integrate with multinational forces. Finally, as I said in the first question, we must take advantage of more than 50 years of experience in combat, in order to contribute in emerging conflicts around the world. Crisis as regular wars, hybrid warfare that incorporating information operations and transpassing the traditional domains.
La guerra regular, las guerras híbridas que incorporan operaciones de información y que superan los dominios tradicionales.
With this participation, I would like to send greetings to all of you who are members in the defense sector around the world. From each of the 21,000 men who integrate the Colombian Marine Corps, we wish you the greatest success, and we say to you that the Colombian Marine Corps is always ready to help, collaborate, train and serve in any kind of situation that you may require. As our motto says, the willpower overcomes everything. Thank you so much.
En cualquier situación que ustedes lo requieran. Como lo dice nuestro lema, la voluntad todo lo supera.